All right, everybody, welcome. Kathleen, if you could do a roll call, please.
You got it. Saban.
Present.
Bartleson. Here. Lobes.
Present.
Bergbauer.
Here.
Galogly.
Here.
Schreiber.
Here.
Karas.
Here.
Kostecki. Here. Motion, I'm sorry. We have a quorum.
Very good. Lou Wold, one of our police chaplains, is here to open us in a prayer.
Would you pray with me, please? Father, we give you thanks for the many blessings in our lives and all you've done in our city. We're trusting you in good and bad circumstances to work all things together for your success. We look to you to provide and prosper us. Our eyes are on you for protection for our schools. We look to you for safety for our police, fire, and military personnel and their families. Give them insight in each situation and peace of mind and wisdom. We ask you for this meeting and for our mayor and city council, the city committees and city staff who work together to have unity, and that you would graciously grant them wisdom, discernment, creativity to lead our city into the future. And we ask you to grant peace and joy in their lives and their families. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. All right, anybody have anything for liaison reports?
I do.
Ladies first.
So I just wanted to let everyone know that our beautification recognitions are in full speed, and we are already in the from April 15th to June 1st will be our spring beautification contest. And summer beautification contest begins June 21st to September 1st. However, though, if we don't have enough entries for the spring, we're going to combine spring and summer together like we did last year. So just wanted to let you know that we're ready to take in your pictures of your homes and landscaping that you do for spring, summer, and then we'll talk about fall and the holiday lights. But the summer beautification contest will be June 21st to September 1st. So please send in your homes and pictures on the website.
Thanks for doing that, Joanne. I appreciate it. I know we all do. Does it count that I rake the leaves from the fall now in the spring? Is that like good?
Yeah.
Finally get to them? All right. Anything? Oh, Larry, you said
For
you had-
police liaison, I want to defer to the chief.
Thank you. Just want to announce the graduation of our last four recruits to the police department. We went to the graduation last Friday. It was a really good graduation. I just want to also mention that of the four officers that had graduated, there were 68 total graduates, and of the graduates, they awarded four of the recruits. One of our officers, they received the highest academic scores award, and then we had another one that received the fitness award for the best scores and times for the fitness curriculum there. So that was really good. I started field training just past Monday, so that'll take about 12 weeks. Also, I just want to quickly mention that the Lockport Police Department has partnership with the Lockport Resource Center again this year. We're going to collect bicycles. They can be dropped off Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the police department, and the Resource Center typically uses money to help those in need for college tuition. We are also taking part in the Police Department Special Olympics fundraiser. It's the airplane pole competition that takes place on April 30th. It's going to be at Lewis University, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's teams of 10 people, $50 per person to enter. And if anybody wants to be involved in that, for more information, they can contact the police department or Officer Henning by email or phone. And again, that takes place not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, April 30th. Thank you.
And you said the bikes drop off at the station or at the resource center?
So the bikes are dropped off at the police station.
Okay.
Yes, please.
And what were the dates for that, for the bicycles?
For the bicycles, we started April 1st, and it's going to run through the the 30th of this month, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the police department. And for those, I know members of the city also help out with some, we repair the bikes as well, and that's going to take place on May 21st at 9 o'clock at the police department.
Right on, thanks. Get that athlete guy to do the coffin races, right? Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Larry, what do you got?
Yeah, I just got a quick comment. I just wanted to thank Main Street for sharing some of their financial documents with us. I know there's more to come, and I've shot some questions over to Ben, making sure that some of the information that they send over is part of my request. And we'll see what questions come up once we receive all the documents.
Yeah, good, thanks for keeping an eye on all that stuff, man.
A quick update as well. I'm sorry. In regards to the 1000 South State Street project, it came in front of the Heritage and Architecture Commission last evening, and it's just an incredible project, the scope of it, and just the overall design and what they're doing with this facility is just, I think it's just remarkable. Well, they had the plans from the interior to the rooftop deck to the exterior, what they're doing with the windows and sections. Lance, I don't know if you wanted to, expand on what they were discussing and what the future of the property looks like.
Yeah, I guess, this is a great opportunity, and the H&A was very appreciative to the applicant for all the effort and work that they put into, and super excited about the project. The applicant is going to go after state and federal historic tax credits as a part of the project, which could save them up to 25% of the total costs, qualified costs, of the rehabilitation, which based on their current estimates could be anywhere between $300,000 to $600,000. So it's a significant opportunity that will be monitored through the State Historic Preservation Office. The architect for the project has been working with the state preservation architect on a lot of the detailing, so I made sure to let the H&A know last night that their review is certainly one important component of this, but there are also two other layers of review. It will go through SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, as well as the National Park Service. The National Park Service is the ultimate kind of arbitering group that gives final approval on the tax credits. And then when they submit for the state tax credits, that's a competitive process. And so they will get in line with any other projects across the state that are vying for those state tax credits. If they would get those, that would increase the rebate even further. So it's a significant opportunity for a very large investment in our downtown. I'm thrilled with the direction that it's going. And I think that they've got a great team put together, and we've got some great opportunity to watch this thing really change over the next 8 to 10 months.
Lance, can you share some of the vision on that? Would they be okay with that and what they're doing on the first floor? And
Yeah, I will, as a part of my weekly email, I'll send out the drawing package so that everybody can see it.
2 words, rooftop.
Yeah, right. And let's, I want to thank you too for, I remember when we petitioned the state folks for the tax credits, it's like, I remember Lance and I had a discussion with them. One of the problems that always been is that it's a great program, but it usually was for, people redoing the post office or did the major projects, and it was kind of onerous for small users like this. And so Lance did a great job, when we were on that call, just really petitioning them to open up this and simplify things so that smaller users can access this. And I think one of the reasons they've been so receptive is because of your work on that call, so thank you.
Yeah, I would say that the state architect has had more calls with Bob Morris over the past 3 weeks than who knows how many other projects he's working on, but he is extremely invested in this project already, and it's really good to see.
Very good.
Yeah, this is a multi-million-dollar investment in our downtown, so it's huge.
All right.
I have a few things. First of all, I wanted to congratulate Joe Finley. He retired last Friday. Actually, he probably retired maybe 4 years previous to that, but had to remain with us in a part-time because we really didn't have anybody to handle the treatment plant. But Joe did finally officially, last Friday was his last day. I talked to him, and he said that he's leaving the treatment plant in very good hands, which means congratulations to Jason Neighbors, who is our new guy, and he is the new wastewater superintendent, I believe. So congratulations to both those guys. A few job updates. PT Faro, after we approve an IGA, Faro will get started on their project here in the next week or two. Also, we are looking into we're working with IDOT to change some striping at the intersection of 159th and Farrell. If you've been around there at certain times, you could see the traffic is almost backing up past Coombs, almost to Thornton Street, and sometimes during the day. So we believe if we stripe the right turn lane and make that a straight through or turn option, hopefully that can ease some of the traffic. So we're working with IDOT to get that striped. The canal trail, that's another agreement we're working on tonight, and the canal trail should be finished by May. So that'll be hitting hard the next 3 weeks. I recently received a couple compliments from Austin Tyler and City of Lockport for the Hamilton work. They're just very pleased with the amount of work, how fast it got it done, and they said both Austin Tyler and the city have been wonderful to work with, so compliments to you guys. And then finally, the other job that we know is coming is the downtown streetscape. Just a reminder, that will not start until the Monday after Canal Days. So that's all I have for you.
Very good.
I have something as well.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to share that the Conventional Site Plan Review Committee met on Tuesday and approved building additions to both Walsh and Ludwig schools. Did you want to share some things, Lance?
Yeah, this is the first opportunity that we've had to implement one of the components of the zoning code changes that we made a year ago now. And just as a reminder, this committee is a group that handles cases that have no variances, no ordinance needs, no resolutions, anything that requires Plan Zoning Commission or City Council oversight for it. The project was Walsh School and Ludwig School are building a new security entrance for their buildings. If anybody's been in them, the main offices are deep into the corridors, and it takes a long time for a visitor to get from there to the admin office, so they're redoing those. It was required to come through the city because of site changes that they're making in the parking lots, and so we were required to review those as a part of that. But this allowed them to get in through the process. We didn't lose any bit of review time. Staff reviewed it fully just like we would any other final development plan, but it allowed them to get their approval in one meeting as opposed to 6. So that helped them a lot to continue on with their construction.
That's great. All right, thanks, Karen. All right, is that everybody? It made me think of something, when you said April 30th with the bikes, Chief. The Standing Bear, Joseph Standing Bear from Midwest Soaring, they're going to do they've been wanting to do a market, it's kind of a French market, not a flea market, it's not a farmer's market. It's like one of those things where it's everything. But they've been wanting to do it at the train station for a long time. So they're going to do their first one on April 30th, and they're going to do it every Saturday, I think, until the Saturday before Halloween. So I encourage them by going. You know how these things are. They take a long time to spin up. So my guess is it'll look really sparse the first many times. And so so people don't lose heart. It's good to get out there and support it, because I think it's something that everybody would like. And I think it's a great use of the space on a Saturday. So looking forward to that. And then I just, because you guys all shared great things, I thought I feel like compelled. So help and access, because it's a nationwide thing, and Lockport is not immune to it. As with all the great things going on, people still struggle with all the things that put them into a place of addiction. So thanks, Chief, for working with us on that. So, all right, me friends. Lots of good stuff. Thanks for sharing everything. So why don't we jump into it. CA1, we're looking for the appointment. So these are police commissioner reappointments. So the first one is John Weiss.
Yes, this will be seeking approval of Resolution 22037. It's a reappointment of John Weiss to the City Board of Police Commissioners. Mainly the police commissioners establish lists for hiring, testing, They handle the new hires and promotions. We may even kind of bring them in for a future presentation at some point this summer, just so everybody has a full and better understanding of what they do, because they're valuable for us. These are unpaid positions. Basically, we've got 3 members on the Board of Police Commissioners. The term is we're trying to sync a few things. So we've got the terms expiring later in the month. We've had some terms with all of our other boards and commissions. We want to make sure they're all the same. So we're moving it from April 1st to April 30th. And then we're also trying to stagger, there's 3 members, and we want someone to be up for reappointment on different years and cycles. And so John is going to be serving, or being proposed to serve a 1-year term. There's a current commissioner that still has 2 years left, and then the next item will be someone for a 3-year term. So again, we're looking for approval or consent and action in regards to moving this appointment request along. Happy to take any questions.
Everybody's good? You guys okay with the consent? Action?
Action.
Okay, we'll do an action item. And then same dialogue for the next one, CA2.
Yeah, CA2 is the reappointment of Pete Colorelli and to the Board of Police Commissioners. His term also expired on April 1st. We want to stagger it to April 30th, and then his appointment would be a 3-year term, with the current member being 2 years and John being 1 year. Again, this is seeking approval of Resolution 22036.
All right, so we'll do that as an action as well. Does anybody have any comments first? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And then, what do you got there, Chief?
Thank you, Mayor, members of City Council. I'm seeking approval from City Council to declare 3 vehicles as surplus items to remove from our inventory. These vehicles are as follows. We have a 21-year-old Ford Crown Victoria with just over 110,000 miles, a 14-year-old Crown Victoria with just over 63,000 miles, and a 9-year-old Ford Explorer with just under 73,000 miles. But it's in its current condition, it would require a rebuilt or a brand-new transmission. In their current condition, all 3 vehicles have either outlived their purpose due to the age and/or condition. Therefore, my recommendation would be to declare these vehicles as surplus so we can properly dispose of these assets. That is Resolution 22-043.
Chief, if they're not purchased at surplus, are they donated to like the local high school for their shop or community college?
So yeah, we have some options to do that. We can either put them on, send them to auction. I know that we have been approached by a couple different entities asking if we could donate these vehicles. The worth of these vehicles, like our Crown Vics, you're talking about $1,000 for one, $1,400 in auction, right? So sometimes I think they do serve a better purpose to something like that. In one instance here, we were approached by a volunteer fire department for one of these vehicles, and the other one was, it was actually Special Olympics. They were asking for one for one of the events that they have. Actually, remember at the racetrack, they do that police event over there where they wanted to see if we can donate the vehicle, and they put Lockport Police on the side of it for the event they do every summer, so that was one as well. So yeah, we do have the option if if you guys approve the surplus of the vehicles.
All righty. Any other questions? All right, well, are we okay with consent on that? All right. And then, what do you got here, Lance? Our impact fees.
So this is a continuation of the discussions that we had on March 16th related to modifications to our impact fee schedule. The 3 things that we wanted to talk about tonight are really, the council had requested some information related to how the new numbers would impact examples from last year, how many units had been built. We also want to talk about the commercial fire fee requests and then the school fee request. Those are the components that we weren't able to cover at the last one just because of continuing discussions. So to the first point, this is basically what the difference would have been on the 2021 occupancies. So we had 32 housing units built in 2021. You can see if 2021 rate was in place, it would have resulted in a total of 293,069.23. And if the 2022 rate was in place, it would result in $306,112.68, for a difference of $13,043. Not a significant amount. And there's some reasoning behind that we'll get into here in a little bit, but that's the comparison as it relates to last year's construction. You can see the two different tap-on fees. The current fees are on the top, on the right-hand side of the screen, and then the 2022 fees down there at the bottom. From the fire fee standpoint, the residential one that we've already talked about increasing from $250 per unit to $500, based on the fire district's research, and Dave Bricker is here in the audience if we have any questions for him. That matches a lot of the surrounding communities. They did a little bit of research to try and identify the surrounding 8 or 9 different communities that are around us to see what their amounts were, and that is roughly at the mean, like we've talked about for the cities. And then from a commercial standpoint, they have realized some issues related to construction projects as they are ongoing, where they need to respond to small fires, workplace accidents, other things that are occurring that are costing them dollars before tax dollars start to come into the district. And so in an effort to not place that burden on the other taxpayers, they would like to request a commercial impact fee. They would really be the only agency jurisdiction that charges a commercial impact fee, which we don't see as an issue, but I want to make sure that everybody is clear about that, really because they're the only ones that are actually performing services that aren't potentially paid for before occupancy is taken or we take over the streets. With the school.
I have a question.
Yeah,
It's how
go ahead.
does the yearly inspection fee get collected?
So the district does that themselves. They basically set up or Dave, if you want to come up.
So it varies between the districts. So we charge an annual, the initial occupancy fee when we do the inspections. The yearly inspection fees within the Lockport Township Fire District, those don't get collected. Within the Northwest Homer Fire Protection District, they don't get collected. The only fire district right now that is doing the annual billing for annual inspections is Homer.
Okay.
And we have our secretary, after we complete the inspection, the inspector hands her the stack of papers, and she bills them the $20, $25, $30, whatever it is based on the square footage. And I said, that's only really happening in the Homer Fire District right now.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
And there are no changes being proposed to the inspection fees. It's really just the addition of the impact fee itself for the fire district. From the school fee standpoint, we had started this discussion in our last meeting related to the 2 different types of fees that they have in our impact fee table. One is the facility fee, and the other is the land cash fee. So the facility fee is intended to pay for additional impacts that the district would incur because of additional homes being placed in the district, something like a Silo Bend. If Homer was already at capacity that they need to expand or do a renovation project or something like that to accommodate those additional students, that's what a facility fee type thing is intended for. And so those dollars are allocated for that. The land cash component of it is related to the property purchase that would be needed to accommodate an expansion, a new school, additional parking lot space, other things like that they would need to actually purchase or acquire property in order to accommodate some of those things. The image on your right, when we had last talked, I had started to talk about the fact that the facility fee component of our current spreadsheet needed some basis around it. And so the school districts took that challenge to heart, and they have really created a really excellent foundation for us to be able to build this facility fee from. The chart to your right is basically taking what's in our code as far as the max number of students for each elementary school and junior high school, as well as other standards that are part of their state organization called JCAR, and allocated those down to devise a estimated cost per student to build a new elementary school, to build a new junior or middle high school, junior high or middle school, or to build a new high school. Those numbers play into then how the fee request was derived by taking those items, spreading them across the different bedroom sizes like we've talked before, and then allocating different percentages. Ultimately, the only thing that you need to pay attention to really is the item in the yellow box. Those are what they are proposing for their facility fee request. And that would be for Homer 33C, that would be for District 92 and District 89. So Fairmont, District 92, doesn't really have a name per se, and then Homer 33C. That amount is representative of about 14.58% of the total cost per student that it would take to build a new school based on that. So that's really the foundational elements that we're able to craft this around. That 14.58% also has an understanding in there that commercial properties, industrial properties, and non-school children families will also be a part of that funding. So, a cost of a new school doesn't obviously just fall on the families that have kids in the school. It's spread across an entire community, and it's compensated for by a variety of different land uses. So that percentage is what the school district felt comfortable with requesting as an allocation for their fee. Those numbers also allow us, as I'll show here in a second, to maintain consistent with the average mean for all of our surrounding communities. That's what we had talked about before, is that our competitiveness is also based on how we reflect our fees to our surrounding communities as well. If it costs $40,000 to build a house here, but it costs $10,000 to build a house in Homer Glen, you can guess where most of the developers will build their homes. They'll build it right across the border. So we do want to maintain some level of competitiveness, but we also want to reflect the costs that are allocated with doing a development. Al Kirkus is here from Homer 33C. If you have any questions on the math on this, they were the ones that prepared this on behalf of the other school districts, so he's fully knowledgeable on that. So once we get through the presentation, if you do have any questions, we can review that.
I do have one quick question, though. So that number, that represents, like if it's $4,500, that represents, that gets divided up into whatever school districts are in that, or is that for a single school district?
It's for as well as for two school districts. It's for the high school and whatever elementary
Okay, so the
district
two
is in.
schools, so they get split between the two of them?
It's a proportional split. It's roughly 66-33. The high school, because they cover the entire city, they get a little bit less because
Oh, I
they
see.
balance it
Okay.
out amongst all the other ones. And then the elementary school gets the larger share.
Okay, thank you.
So here's where we talk a little bit about the differences between our outer districts, 92, 33C, and 89, and our inner districts, 90 and 91. Our inner districts are really essentially built out. There's not a lot of like 200-acre sites available downtown or 200-acre sites in Taft. That would pretty much be the entire district. And so we want to be able to reflect what that means as it relates to our impact fees. And I've got a comment at the end of this presentation that it's good to keep in mind that impact fees are not to generate revenue. They are intended to help us cover costs that are associated with homes being built before tax dollars are being accrued by the community. It's cover that gap. And so when we talk about inner versus outer districts, the outer districts have a lot of area where you can build new streets, you can build new homes, there's lots of impacts that happen there. But in our inner districts, most homes are on existing streets. Most tap-ons are actually already in place. So going through this list with our sewer and water tap-on, typically the source, the location, and the allocation are already in place, which lowers the impact from just a straight-up full impact fee. For the streets are typically already exist, and they're typically accounted for already in our capital improvements budgeting, and so that typically lowers the impact of it. Doesn't eliminate it all the time, but it does lower the impact of it. And then increased density, changing a single-family unit to a townhome or an apartment increases the water, sewer, street impacts, and that creates a nexus to the development, but it's not the same as new lines large-scale new usage and new streets. It instead incrementally increases the impact. And that's really towards our downtown. So as our downtown continues to mature, even though it's been maturing for 150 years now, there will likely be increased density occurring, whether it's apartments, whether it's bigger, better mixed use. The Tissoni site and the east property is a perfect example of this. It's currently a former car dealership. It could be 36 apartments with 6,000 square feet of retail on the ground floor. That's a significantly different impact than, what you would find otherwise if it was just a single-family home. And for the schools, the facility fee has some really clear financial constraints about what you can spend those dollars on. And the facility fees are particularly clear about that because they have to be dedicated towards the increase of students and what physical structures are required to house them. So you can't use it to repair your roof, you can't use it to replace the front doors, you can't use it to change light bulbs. It has to be an addition, a renovation, something that increases the capacity of the school. The land cash, as I mentioned before, can be used for the incremental needs such as parking or, for an example, Milne Grove with the Murphy home going up for sale. They were considering whether or not they should buy that to increase the parking that's available on site as opposed to having everybody park on the street there. That would be an appropriate use for the land cash dollar amount that they would be able to use. But their facilities are really set, and they've set themselves for the capacity that could really be generated in the built-out areas. So what does that mean? There's a whole bunch of gobbledygook on the screen, so don't pay too much attention to what you're seeing because you'll get lost in the numbers. But in essence, you'll see a difference in the numbers between District 33C, 92, and 89, and the numbers for 90 and 91. What Districts 90 and 91 have said that they are willing to do, let me see what I have, is that they are willing to forego their facility fee because they know that they will likely not need to expand their facilities or renovate to accommodate additional students. And because of the restrictions that are on those fees, if they do collect them and they can't spend those dollars, it sits in a bank account in perpetuity. Because otherwise you just get revenue that you can't use. And so you're basically de-incentivizing redevelopment and other things from occurring. They would rather take the approach that they would incentivize development to occur so that they can increase the overall EAV of the area, which would vastly outstrip the amount of money that they would get from 3 townhomes of an increase of, $4,000. So if they can change that and incentivize it that way, that is a better use of their facility fee money and land cash money than doing the opposite and just simply taking the full facility fee that the District 33C, 92, and 89 would calculate. So as you can see on this screen, here's a little bit of a blow up about the total in 2022. That's on the left number of both spreadsheets, the 2021 fee, and then the difference. Now that's a total across fire, library, city, all of that kind of stuff. So you can see on the right, in District 90, their fees will actually be less than they are currently. And that's because currently they do collect the facility fee. Now, there have been a grand total of like 12 homes built over the last 3 years in District 91 and probably about 4 in Taft. So, we're not talking significant numbers. There are a lot of numbers on the screen, but in reality, it's not a significant amount of numbers. But if we start to get 36-unit apartment buildings coming into town, then it starts to drive a little bit more. These numbers really do help incentivize development to occur. That's not really the purpose of it. They really want to make sure that they're maximizing the dollars that they achieve and that they're able to use them as flexibly as they can. So that's one of the interests that they have. And we have done the same by reducing our tap-on and water sewer and water tap-on fees as well in those 2 districts to accommodate the fact that the tap-on already exists. on most of those sites, and the street already exists on most of those sites. So we're not allocating dollars for a brand-new street. We're not allocating dollars for a brand-new tap-on. Most of that stuff already exists, but there still is an impact. So that's the way that the district numbers work. And here's an example of the difference. So in District 33C, last year they had 2 3-bedroom homes and 8 4-bedroom homes built. You can see what the different numbers are based on the 2021 and 2022 rate. In District 90, you can see that they had 1 2-bedroom home and 3 3-bedroom townhomes built, and you can see the total numbers there. So when Taft looks at this, they say, okay, well, if I use my 2022 rate, if I kept everything the same, I'm really only at a loss of $2,700, and for the 2-bedroom townhomes, and about $8,400 for the 3-bedroom. In the big scheme of a multi-million-dollar school budget, a grand total of like $12,000 is not making or breaking it, but they would like to see their neighborhood improve. They would like to see a higher EAV. All of those kinds of things will help them more than letting $13,000 sit in a bank account somewhere. So all total, this is kind of where we stand today. For a 4-bedroom, single-family detached house in District 33C, our 2016 Lockport rate was $28,388. Our current Lockport rate is $15,530. Our proposed Lockport rate is $25,243. That's a 163% increase over the current rate. The surrounding community mean is $21,718.73, which would be a difference from the mean of about $3,500. So in summary, we as city staff and the school districts and the fire districts believe that the proposal is certainly an accurate reflection of the impacts of the different jurisdictions incurred because of the development. It's an accurate reflection of the nexus between the fee and the development impact. It's an accurate reflection of the differences between the different areas of the city, and it keeps Lockport competitive with the surrounding communities. And kind of that key point is what I was mentioned before, that impact fees are not intended to be a revenue-generating element of any of these jurisdictions' financials. They are intended to reflect the impact a development has on their services before full taxes and user fees, in the case of water and sewer, are being generated by a home, and they must have a nexus to the development while maintaining competitiveness with our surrounding communities. With that, I'll take any questions.
So I'm sure I knew this when we last discussed this a number of years ago, but because I have the memory of a gnat, I'm going to ask again. So when we do a tap-on fee, right, and it's like, oh, this is for, future water treatment plants or something, that money, does it go into some kind of fund that's not touched? How does that work, Lisa?
Yeah, that does sit out there and wait for us to do some type of construction.
Okay.
It sits in our reserves.
And then when it goes to the school, and normally, it's not our business how the schools spend their money, but because they're asking us to do this on their behalf, when money is, put into a facilities fee, do we have any oversight of that, or do we just 10 years go by and we find out that they spent it all on, whatever? How do we ensure that the money is?
We do not, but they are obligated under state law to only spend it on certain things. And if they are found in breach of that state law, then, any developer or honestly the city of Lockport could sue them.
Okay. So what you're telling me is that there's laws in place that help protect that?
They would get an annual audit like we would, and their auditors would be looking at that to make sure that that's sitting in a restricted fund.
Okay. Otherwise, we're sicking Larry on them. So, okay. That was my questions. Thanks.
Okay.
My question is, how does this affect the existing, the silo bend and like redwoods that are going in right now?
Yeah.
Is this effective immediately kind of thing, or?
So most of the developments that are occurring right now already have preset numbers in their annexation agreements. So Silo and Bend is an example. They already have a preset tap-on fee in their annexation agreement. They also have set their school and every other fee as a part of their annexation agreement. This would really be for any project that does not currently have preliminary or final development plans in place right now. As it would be approved, we're looking for approval on May 4th, the next council meeting. So that's how it would impact that.
But the city council can determine when the effective date is.
Yes.
So last time the impact fees went up was in 2018, I believe, and the effective date was July 1, 2018. So you could also put parameters if you wanted to, that any development plans that are in the process gets the old rate. Those are the options that the city council can direct the effective date of the impact fees.
But as it stands now, the effective date is, you just mentioned it.
Well, the planned effective date is when you vote on it. I mean, the question about the impact fees and where they are locked in, one of the reasons why developers typically try and lock those in at the annexation fee is so that there's not a surprise halfway through the project. So, because obviously these change their pro formas and a bunch of those kinds of things that are related to their development, so they like to have those typically locked in before they start a project, and most of them do.
So like the one project that we know about, like Synchronicity or whatever, right? Is that the name of it?
Serenity, yeah.
Or Serenity or whatever. So that would be the one that could affect them.
Yes.
Or unless you choose July 1, September 1. I mean, we've done different things at different times.
Right.
All right. Okay, but if then you guys want to tweak that, we do it before we vote, so.
Yeah, we'll have all the ordinances and any resolutions packaged for the next city council meeting.
Okay. So right now, we should put this on as an action item and
Yes.
then, okay.
Action.
All right, anybody have any further questions? All righty then. And then, yeah, that's a lot of work.
Lot of
Thank you guys.
information.
And
Thanks, Lance.
same with the fire department, schools. I know it's a lot of work getting those numbers, trying to find stuff that's fair, and appreciate the hard work, so.
I could just say thank you to you guys for reaching out to us and involving us in this process. It was kind of a shock back in 2017 before I actually started when the fees got cut, and that had some serious ramifications internally for us. But you guys have been wonderful to work with, so we just wanted to thank you for being open and working with us on this. So,
All right, very good. Thanks. And then lastly, Brent, what do you got?
I have to go to a movie shoot, sorry, so.
at our school.
Oh, very cool. Oh, nice.
All right, Brent, what do you got there?
All
Are you
right,
talking
so-
about the IGA?
Yes, IGA, we have one item on the agenda this evening, PW-1. This is in regards to the project that Alderman Glogally mentioned earlier. This is our resurfacing project for 2022. Our scope is from Bruce Road up to 151st Street on Farrell, and then also 151st Street east from Farrell over to Gauger. A couple sections within there are outside of the city of Lockport, and so we approached both Lockport Township and Homer Township to see if they would participate in the project. The goal was to get a consistent project from one end of the city to the other, also to achieve the most favorable costs. The more that we can include in the bids, and then obviously for the districts who have the smaller sections, the more that they can include, the better prices they'll see. So it was a win-win. Both districts have agreed that they will pay for their sections of ownership. The section that this specifically will cover is just north of 159th. The east side is Homer, and the west side of Farrell is Lockport. And so it's a 50-50 split. Both have agreed to the amount not to exceed $175,000. The costs will adjust a little bit as actual prices. They will not be charged the entire $175 unless that's what the project goes to. But we anticipate that the costs will come down a little bit, as our costs will come down a little bit on the job as well. So this evening, we're asking for council's consideration to move forward with the IGA that has been presented, resolution number 22-042, and we would be asking for council's concurrence to move this forward at our next city council meeting.
We would request this item to be on action since the roadway district's attorneys have not seen, or they haven't gotten back with us with their feedback, so it will be action item.
It's fine. Any questions, concerns, though, in the meantime? All righty then. Then we'll have it on action. Okay. Anything else? New business?
I have some new business. Anybody else?
Yeah, lay it on us.
Okay. I was looking at the Police Commission Board, and what I think we should do is be a little bit more reflective of what our community is, possibly reach out and maybe get a woman on there or a person of color.
Yeah, I think all those things are worthy goals. I appreciate, like, kind of, I know I've talked to most everybody here about, like, you know, and I've already talked to Commissioner Weiss about, he's been on the longest, and he'd be the 1-year reappointment. And that gives me time to find, I think, a person that is, just all of a sudden we had a lot of discussions before this, and I didn't want to rush an appointment. So I appreciate getting the time to find just the right person and having those discussions and seeking out a person that I think does add that reflection. I have no argument with that, so. Anything else?
New business-wise, I wish, I should have mentioned it at Liaison, but, you know, I wanted to thank the fire department. If you weren't aware, we had a fire in Lockport recently. Homer Tree Service had a large fire. They lost their entire building in the back there, and we were blessed that no one was hurt. You know, and Ron will rebuild on the same site. He's a believer in Lockport, and he's going to stay here, obviously, and redo this. But, you know, Ron's going to be seeking temporary location, and we've done this before where how can we help? You know, when there was a fire at 10th Street in downtown, we helped some of the businesses find new locations. And so Ron's going to be looking around and trying to seek out some temporary location while he rebuilds. And, you know, the question came up on whether we give consideration with our fab shop down in Chevron. You know, we're about to launch some fixes there. We're planning to use it for some seasonal storage. Could we offer a co-tenancy temporarily for him? You know, we would obviously require a lease and insurance and indemnification. You know, I'd reached out to Tree Architecture, who's our has been doing some plans, and the status of the building, we might need to review a little bit, and the building department to check for occupancy and things like that. But, you know, if it's an opportunity for some market rate money to help offset the fixes there, you know, it has power, there's no HVAC, and there's no bathroom, so we would certainly have to work with them on a lease and an approval. But again, it might be a way to reach out to somebody that's been strong in the community and supporting the community and how we can help. You know, the roof does leak, we need to get that fixed, but I think the coordination of some contractors on the roof versus somebody, you know, temporarily inside could probably be worked around. And, you know, but again, that would require, you know, council approval in regards to bringing a lease at a future time. We'd have to meet with Ron more thoroughly about exactly what he's planning in there and get the building department involved. And Lance, I don't know if you had any thoughts about it, but, you know, it was
Yeah,
big
we
impact.
we would certainly take a look at the building from just a code standpoint, see if there are any immediate things that would need to be resolved in order to allow something like what Ron is looking for. One of his biggest issues that I found just in talking to him, as he reached out and said, you know, hey, this was my mechanic shop, so it's where they repair all of their semi-cabs, it's where they had all their material stored, all their tools were in there, everything basically that they used to repair their 440 pieces of equipment was in that building. And so they need something with a high door that they can actually get the cabs into. And as I started to look around the city to try and see what other buildings are out there even for somebody to consider, there really aren't any in the entire city of Lockport, and the fab shop is one of those few places that we do have that high of a door in there. And so we wanted to bring it in front of council for their, you know, thoughts on it. Are there things that we should think about? Is this something that they are interested in entertaining? And if so, what kinds of things should we put into the lease to make sure that, you know, we've got everything accounted for.
All right. Anybody have thoughts on that?
I have a question. What about liability? Like, let's say they're in there and we know that this building isn't 100%. What if something happens? What if something falls through that roof or something?
So they would have to indemnify us, require insurance. One of the things that we want to ensure is that there's a certificate of occupancy that would allow that type of business to be operated in that building, because we don't want it to come back and say, well, you allowed this operator in a building that didn't have a certificate of occupancy because it didn't meet certain code requirements, including full functional bathrooms, that opens up the doors. So obviously, if we end up being able to fit the requirements for a certificate of occupancy, we will bring a license agreement similar to what the maker space is using for our building, you know, something to that effect, because this is a public building. We want to make sure that the appropriate agreement is in place, including insurance, indemnification, everything else.
Will there be any rent involved with this?
She said there would be
A lease, so there will be, okay. I mean, it could be
That's,
a lease.
that's a suggestion. I mean, you could charge no rent, you could charge some rent. I mean, it's up for debate.
My question was going to be, what did they use that back building for?
It was where they did all their repairs, oil changes,
so mostly
repairs, yeah.
Bring a truck in and do mechanical repairs. Yeah.
Has the cause been determined? What started the fire?
No, not yet.
It's under investigation.
It's nice in theory, but my concerns when you started saying that lay kind of what into what Christina had said about liability, indemnification, as you had said. There's no toilets, which means there could be some sewer water issues. I recall this was the building last year that we were wanting to give to Public Works to use, because didn't we see two different plans of action for that building? One was kind of fix the roof so they could use it, and then one was a full gut job. But I know that was in Public Works' view of wanting to be used. So I feel like there's a lot of layers here that have to be looked at that could cause other issues as they go forward. Again, I think this is a nice idea in theory, but I don't see it as being practical because of what we've been told about that building's viability to be a building and what was needed to fix it, but also if it's going to be a repair shop, we don't want to skirt any codes that would set any future precedent. And my other point would be, I think you said repair shop, so it's not just storage. We're going to have traffic. We're going to have truck traffic through there. So that's something else that would be a concern to me. But again, I think it's nice in theory. I do think it's a nice idea in theory, but I think in practical terms, there's a lot of items that will come to the forefront that we have to be very careful about, and I'm not comfortable moving forward with that. I think he should look for other commercial entities for this temporary, because if it's going to be temporary, are we talking 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months? Are we then putting the onus on ourselves where we have suddenly a short-term lease becomes a long-term lease, and how do you rectify that? What if there's damage to the building because of the lease? Are we suddenly having to do repairs to the building because of current structural issues? What if the building causes damage to their equipment? So there's a lot of things there that would concern me about heavy machinery or trucks using it as a repair shop versus just possibly storage. And also there's that kind of that public-private entity as well. But those are just some of the things that I thought about as you had said it. Again, I think it's nice in theory. It's a very respectable thing to do. But in procedure and practical matters, I think there's a lot of layers to it that as we peel those back, there would be some concerns.
I kind of actually disagree with that a little bit. I definitely think that there could be verbiage to make it work. And as far as the restrooms go, it's funny that this came up. I was currently at a rest area, traveling, and they had no inside bathrooms, but the outside ones that they had set up, because I at first was like angry, they were like Taj Mahal. They were like the ones that you go to at golf tournaments. So it can be easily set up that they have a pretty nice setup on the exterior of the building with very functional washrooms that could be temporary. And I think the verbiage can be taken care of. I mean, people do leases and rent buildings and so forth, you know, a million times a year. So I'm actually comfortable with it.
How much have we, or what did we budget to put into it? My only concern would be that, one, we weren't really we were using it as storage, so I have a feeling that if we were going to put 20, or let's say $200,000 into it, I think now to make it occupancy for a renter or whatever, I think that might be more than what we were planning. I'd like to see what that investment would cost before I made a decision, but I have a feeling we'd have to invest more into it to make it what they need, is my thought. And my other concern is, I don't know, maybe Brent might want to talk. Obviously, we're going to use that by the Public Works. I know we've delayed our Public Works addition out at Prime, so I don't know how much can we afford to keep delaying your storage as well. So those are my thoughts.
We did budget $400,000 this year for fixes. How much of that would go into that building? We were going to do some work at the Public Works facility as well. There was some window work and some things, but, you know, definitely a significant amount. I don't remember, after talking to the architect, exactly what was going to go into the roof. There's holes in the walls. You know, it's not in great shape, but it's usable, functional space. We would have to qualify the ask a little bit with Ron in regards to what the actual timeline is. I mean, we can certainly research it more and try to answer some of these questions.
What was the square footage of the building that burned down, and what's the square footage of?
I know the Fab Shop's about 10,000 square feet. I don't know, Rich, do you know does anybody know?
What their building was, I don't.
Yeah, it might have been a little bigger, I mean, because they had offices, I think.
It wasn't all dedicated to what they're looking for.
But you're talking about, you know, it's a mechanic shop, you know, and there are flammable liquids, and there's no sprinklers or anything in there. There's no hydrants nearby.
I mean, basically what they're looking for is a place that they can work on their vehicles and they're not outside, and they have a
Change the
roof over
oil
their
kind
head.
of thing, you think?
But even just like with, you know, it's like, I think there's a care if there's heating or AC, it's like, kind of seems to be irrelevant to them. And I don't even think, I think when the bathrooms were mentioned, I'm not even sure that that was a concern either. They can rent their porta potties or something. I would say, yeah, like Joe Vaccaro used to do. You know, I would say this, you know, for me, I think that one of the things that's been just really a blessing to be part of this council over the last number of years, especially, is when crises have happened to our people, you know, this council's really stepped up. And when it came to COVID, we found ways to, you know, do grants and loans. We found ways to help fund, you know, mitigation stuff for eating outside. And as far as precedent goes, like, wow, we can't start precedents. Like, we totally did that all through COVID, right? It was a matter of like, look, we usually don't allow outdoor seating this way or on the sidewalk. We don't usually allow outdoor alcohol consumption, but these are things that we did. And it doesn't mean it's like, well, now we're stuck doing it. I mean, we're an intelligent group of people that can say this is a very specific and unique situation. And I think, as Renee said, we can put anything into an agreement that lets them understand that. And I think if we can help yet another business, like we've done over these last number of years, whether it was the fire at 1000 South State or this, to in any way we can, I think it's the right and honorable thing to do. It's definitely worth, I think, taking, you know, for me, I'd be glad if you guys move forward and come back to us with some sort of agreement as you guys take into consideration some of these issues, mainly the indemnification. Christina had a good point of like, you know, what if the roof falls down on them? Is like, is that stuff that they're agreeing that, you know, like, I don't think, I've been in the building a number of times, I don't think it's that bad, but,
Homer Tree Service might even be willing, and we can talk to them, they might be willing to pay for some of these fixes before they take occupancy. I don't know, we can discuss that if there's other concerns. Rent could obviously help offset other future things, so we can try to have a staff internal discussion about any concerns we may have versus what was brought up, and bring something back for further discussion.
I'd like to see it happen. I mean, not only is this now coming up to the height of their season and they're kind of stuck, Homer Tree Service has been a big part of Lockport for a long time. And I think that we owe it to them to at least try to help out, see if it can be conducive.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if it's using a building that we've never utilized in the past before, I think, and as much as I'm sure Brent wants to start putting stuff in there, I think ultimately, it's, when we took care of all those businesses in the past, we recognize that it's those businesses which help fund in the city. So it's like, the reason we can't even have money to fix a fab shop is because of the citizens and the businesses and the property tax, so.
Right. Nobody even wanted Canal Days down there.
Don't they own the property right next to it, adjacent to that?
Yeah, they have quite a few space.
And they can't build on that
couple, two,
on a
threes.
temporary basis?
If I'm understanding it right, it's about like, I mean, that would still take months. I think they're trying to find a place where they can get in as soon as possible to just do their typical repairs and stuff.
For any new building that they would want to build, they would need to go through our normal process, building permit process, development plan process, so. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's temporary or not, we still require all that kind of stuff.
I mean, it's probably a couple months to figure even this out, but, okay.
Will this
Well-
affect Public Works as far as storage, or what your plans were for that building?
Yes, I mean, what we had planned, like we've talked about, what we had planned this year was to get it into a state of security from the weather. So make sure that there's no more leaking, make sure that the holes in the wall, the patches, get some insulation up. So it's not quite cold storage, but it's a little bit better than cold storage. Like we talked about, right now we have about 32,000 square feet of space at Public Works. The space needs assessment that the architect did. We need about 72,000 square feet, so we're less than half what we currently need. And that's kind of where, when that information started to come out, it was, okay, well, what's the best options for this, for Public Works? And so that's kind of, along with, I'll say, the COVID costs, that's kind of why we pulled back last year. So, the expansion of 6,000 square feet at Public Works, while it would have been awesome, it wouldn't have even gotten us to, or I guess it would have just got us to 50% of what our overall needs are. So this year, what we've done is we've budgeted to try and get this building up to, a place where we could store things, summer items in the winter items in the summer. But again, I mean, we have not stored anything in there up to now.
And what's the square footage of that building?
About 10,000 square feet, yeah.
And what do they need?
I think they didn't tell us what they needed, but I mean, they would probably use most of it or half of it, or we can try to quantify what that actually means. I mean, the way it was described was they would bring some vehicles in to work on them and then, basically go back and forth, daisy chain back and forth between their operations at the other location.
But I think if we would benefit them, we would detriment our own staff.
I mean, I guess, do you feel like it's that way, Brent? I mean, like I said, we've never stored anything there in the history of Lockport. Do you feel like postponing that for 6 months, or even if it were a year before they got an actual building up, that would be a detriment?
We have not stored anything in there currently. Would I love to be able to get a few pieces of equipment inside? I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's, I'm trying to, we are buying expensive equipment, so we're trying to maintain that and do the best we possibly can. But again, I mean, we do what we can with what we have, and I think that's the way that the department runs, and I think that does a fantastic job. I think the city in general does a fantastic job of that, and trying to, stretch every resource we have. So, is it the end of the world? By no means is it the end of the world. I mean, I think we knowing we can make some modifications. We can think about, okay, well, what can we do? What other options do we have? I would, I guess, ask regardless, maybe we move forward with some of the repairs, or potentially some of those modifications this year so we can get it sealed up. I would ask that that would be maybe, at the very, I don't want to say minimum, but I would like to make sure that we do that, and I think that anybody that uses it would want to see that as well. I mean, they want to make sure that it's secure.
So this could prevent you from having storage that you anticipated with the new equipment we've been buying. That would be I think that's a new issue that I think we just learned. I didn't think about that, but I think that'd be one thing that I would be concerned about is, are we affecting the depreciation rate of our equipment if we don't have the correct storage facilities as anticipated with new purchases?
Yeah, and I guess to answer that, I mean, directly, it would be, yes, there are pieces of equipment that we would like to have inside. Now, are there any new pieces of equipment that we had planned to put in there that we are not going to be able to? I guess the direct answer would be no, because we don't store them in there today. Would we like to store more inside? Absolutely, but again, would 10,000 square feet, yes, it gets us closer. We're at 42,000 of the 72,000 that we need. So yes, every little bit counts. I know that, Lisa does her annual depreciation and the equipment replacement. So I don't know that it's going to affect that by putting items inside versus outside, but
And we appreciate her depreciation.
Can we
and there might
share
be-
this?
Sorry.
I keep on cutting you off.
Sorry, well, the idea of maybe co-tenancy might be something that can work. If he only needs half and we can use half in the back, and I agree, I think we move forward with the project and the architect and we do what we can at the same time. We don't have to put everything on hold. I think there's been enough information here raised that we need to do a little homework on our side of things. It was a concept and idea. Let us massage pros and cons, and we can come back to the council on what we think can work for both sides. And
the
you
other
guys can
the other
decide.
thing I just want to add now, Ben kind of gave me a second to think about this. I mean, we were planning on doing the work and then storing things. So kind of I think all the questions that have come up is when would they be looking to get into that? And would they be waiting until we did the work, or would they get in there, immediately? I guess those are some of the questions. So I was not anticipating using it until we did the work, because of course,
Right.
we don't want to move everything in, move everything out. So we were anticipating.
And I don't know what that
several months,
entails.
yes.
I'd say just an important question as you guys explore
Architect.
this is that the work that we need to do, can we do it while they're doing what they're doing, right? It doesn't
You
sound
talk to
like
the
it's
architect,
such a intrusive, from what I know has got to be done, I don't think there'll be like some kind of giant conflict, but I guess as long as you guys are comfortable that the work can move forward, so,
But
again, these guys weren't really putting their stuff in there for a while till it was done. These guys are seeking to,
But I think like Lance and Sonny said, we have to find out if there's even occupancy, what we have to perform to get some type of occupancy even for them to be in there. So obviously, some work is going to have to be performed before they're allowed in there. So that's what we need to find out, how much we need to spend on
And
that.
Just to be mindful that there's a difference between storage of equipment and vehicles and actually the business operation of repairing trucks and other equipments. They require different levels of occupancy, and it may trigger, if there is a change of use, that our current code would require the building to be sprinklered because the change of use.
again, Sonny, this is
Yeah.
where I'm like,
Yeah.
we made all
I'm
kind of
just-
accommodations for outdoor seating, I think we can bureaucracy this to death. Either it's like we find a way to make it work or we can't. But I think like going to that level, I just think it's too much. This is my opinion on it.
It might be in the language of the indemnification waivers, certificate of occupancy. I mean, we need to do a little homework, so.
All right. Well, come back to us with some thoughts on what you guys find as you explore it. I appreciate it. All right. Anything else under new business? All right, if there's nothing else, then we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, it's Larry and, I don't know, somebody else said something.
Got it.
I'll sign it to Joanne. How's that? I couldn't hear who seconded.
It wasn't, it was me, it wasn't
It
Joanne.
was Mark, okay.
Unless my
All I heard was,
voice
He's throwing his
First
voice.
time it's me and it's you.
Right, exactly, right, yeah.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Here, oh, waiting for Larry. All right, my friends, looking for a roll call from Kathleen.
You got it. Saban. Present. Bartleson. Here. Lobes.
Present.
Bergbauer.
Here.
Galogly.
Here.
Schreiber.
Here.
Karas.
Here.
Kostecki. Here. We have a quorum.
Alrighty, looking for a motion to have a consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mark and Joanne. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're looking to approve committee of the whole meeting minutes from April 6th, city council meeting minutes from April 6th, our payroll period ending April 3rd. There's the amendment to the Lockport Square planned commercial development. This is for that re-subdivision for some of the new buildings going out there. There was the special use permit for a private school for the Lupine Montessori. There was facade and site improvement grant for 111 East 9th. There's the water well solutions repair to well number 12, and then we had the water well solutions emergency repairs to well number 10. So we're looking for a motion to approve. All right, that's Renee and Christina, and we'll do a roll call, please.
You got it. Saban. Yes. Bartleson.
Yes?
Lobes.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
Schreiber.
Yes.
Karas.
Yes.
Kostecki.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, on regular items, we're looking for approval for our bills through April 12th.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, it's Larry and Renee. Any questions on that?
Nope.
And we'll do a roll call.
You got it. Saban. Yes. Bartleson.
Yes?
Lobes.
Yes.
Bergbauer. Galogly.
I abstain. The city of Lockport is paying my employer for some service boxes.
Schreiber.
Yes.
Karas.
Yes.
Kostecki.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, next is looking for approval for an intergovernmental agreement between Lockport and Lockport Township High School for the resource officers.
Make a motion.
Second.
All right, Larry and JR. Any questions on that one?
Mayor, the only changes were we took out the red lines from the agreement. Everything is good. I know Rich and Sonny are good, so.
Okay, well then we'll do a roll call, please.
You got it. Saban. Yes. Bartleson.
Yes?
Lobes.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
Schreiber.
Yes.
Karas.
Yes.
Kostecki.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, next we're doing looking for approval for the IDNR land use permit for the Ina Canal Bike Path Resurfacing Project.
Second.
All right, Renee and JR. Any remaining questions on that one?
Really quick, I noticed we were moving a lot of mature trees to redo the path. Are the replacements going in, or is it just because there's too much incline where it's just not possible?
It was strictly due to the grading out there that they're being removed. We will replace trees, though.
Okay.
I mean, it's obviously not going to be one-to-one,
No.
you know, size-wise, but.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, then we'll do a roll call.
You got it. Saban. Yes. Bartleson.
Yes?
Lobes.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
Schreiber.
Yes.
Karas.
Yes.
Kostecki.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and lastly, we're looking for approval of Resolution 22041, which is our resurfacing and roadway patching. Renee?
Second.
Seconded by JR, I heard. And any questions on this one? All right, then we'll do a roll call, please.
You got it. Saban. Yes. Bartleson.
Yes?
Lobes.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
Schreiber.
Yes.
Karas.
Yes.
Kostecki.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, me friends, that's everything. If there's nothing else, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
moved.
adjourn.
All right, Mark and Larry, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Oh, you were quick today.
I